Okay, so next up we have octal. Um, Octal is a base 8 numbering system, right? So if you're following along, we had the first one, which was a base 10, right? Because there's 10 digits. This one was base 2 because there's two representations, 0 and a 1. Um, what do you think an octal is, right? Well, an octal is exactly, if you think like an octopus, is 8 legs, right? It's base 8. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Once again, you're like, oh, I see a 7. This is 7 digits. No, this is 8 digits because I'm including a 0. 0 is a representation. That is valid. That is valid. It's a valid representation of a value, even though the value is nothing. So this right here is going to be our octal. And how octal works. Let's get into it. So octal, same thing, right? I say, hey, I need to show representation of digits bigger than 7, right? I can show up to 7 on these, up to the value 7, right? Like this is a reference to an underlying value. The value underneath, I can show up to 7 things that I have. I can't show 8 things because remember, 0 is nothing, but I can only show 7 things. So what happens after I get to 7, right? So after I count up from 0, we'll do 1, and then 6, 7, just so you like, this is going to be read kind of weird. This is an ellipses or whatever they call them. There's trailing numbers. I'm 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Now, the thing is that when we get to here, once again, there's always a 0 in front of it. We just don't show it normally, but there's a 0 in front of it, meaning up to here, we have 7 values. We are now out of representations for a 7 value. What do we do? Well, we're going to do the exact same thing. We need an 8th value. We need to be able to show 8. So what are we going to do? We just take the 0, we increment it, right? So this here in octal is actually 8, right? This in octal is 9. Octal value 10, right? And that's all we're doing is we're adding up. We're out of representations for this column. We need to increase it somehow. And the way we're going to increase it is just by putting another value there and then continue counting like we would in ones. So the thing that is always in common between all numbering systems is that this first digit here, sorry, I'm going to put, this looks weird, but this first digit in this column here is always your ones. That's common between any system, right? You're always going to take whatever's in this in this last column here, the one in parentheses, or not in parentheses, in quotes, sorry. I'm still drinking coffee, but yeah. What's in these quotes here is always going to be multiplied by 1. It doesn't matter what system you're using. If you're using a decimal system, you're going to multiply the first one by 1, which is itself, and in binary, you're going to multiply the 1 that's here by 1, which is itself, and in octal, it's the same thing. Once again, don't think too much about the values as a whole. Think of it as a way that you're representing values. And I keep saying it, but hopefully that'll hammer that into your head so that you're truly understanding what's going on. So, octal, once you get this underlying down that I only can represent this number because that's the only available digits I have, it should be a lot easier to understand any base system, right? So the reason they call it base, right, that's what it comes down to, is that yes, it's how many digits are here, but also your first column is normally what your base is considered, because everything else is going to be multiples of that base. So in 8, this first column here, so when I do a 0 and a 1, this here is going to be worth times 8, right? You're going to take whatever's in that column. So n whatever number's there, times it by 8, and then you're going to take whatever's in here, and you're going to do n, and you're going to times it by 1. So whatever number's in here, in this first column, you're going to multiply by 8, and then you're going to multiply this by 1, and then you're going to add them together, and that's what you get. So when I have a 1 here, I multiply it by 8, which is 8, and then let's say I have a 2 in this one, I have a 2 times 1 is 2, I add them together and I get 10. So a 1, 2 in octal is 10. Like, that's the most basic way I can put it. So if there's something I'm missing, or maybe I don't know if I misspoke, this is all live and I don't really review my videos that much, so yeah, if I did say something wrong or whatever, please just let me know in the comments. We're going to go into hex next, and then there'll be one final video for this numbering systems lesson that we'll talk about getting into how they all convert and fit into each other and why they're used that way in computing. There's not much IT behind this, but this is extremely necessary skill to have if you're going to be, if you really want to get into like hacking, cybersecurity, stuff like that. It'll help your understanding tremendously. So next video will be hexadecimal.